So, okay, we'll start with the boring part, which is my introduction. Sorry, guys, can you just leave the room, please? Sorry, guys, can you just leave the room or enter because it's a little bit annoying. So let's start with the boring part. I'm a partner at InvestReady, venture capital with more than 15 years of track record in Spain. We invest in enabling technologies. What it means that we look for technologies that can produce radical change, right? And this is the reason why we were an early enthusiasts of the blockchain and Web3, and currently we have 20% of our portfolio in those type of investments, right? So for me, it's a pleasure today to be here on stage with three friends and partners from our portfolio companies, V2Me, Run, and J4All, and also Nucleo. So if you guys can just give us a quick introduction about your companies and what you guys do.
You want me to start? Okay, I'll start. I'm Ko Onizawa. I moved to Spain about 6 years ago. My background is more in e-commerce venture, and then now I am managing director at Bit2Me. We're an exchange, wallet, launchpad, and we have a crypto academy as well. We've been around since 2015, and our goal is pretty simple. It's push education and adoption of crypto. I'm really excited to be here, and thanks for having us, Anya.
Yeah, thanks for going.
Awesome. So I'm Paul. I'm a young entrepreneur that's been an entrepreneur since I was 16. Started with dropshipping actually at the beginning, and then basically joined crypto 2016. What we basically doing at RAN, we're creating a platform that we reimagine how you can interact with money. So you can basically now, using Web3 and AI, you can save and earn and spend more than ever before.
Well, so I'm Ernest from Nucleo, and one of the companies that we set up is Games for Living, that we partnered with InvestReady and Bit2Me as well. And it's a play-to-earn platform that uses blockchain for gaming purposes.
All right, so I think that at this point, we all know what is an ICO. We all know what is a token. We probably all know that there is 3 types of tokens. We know the benefits they produce, right? So what do you think if we center the conversation on kind of the results of the ICOs? And let me just give you a sort of data to start the conversation, right? And this is that from the whole ICOs that were launched on 2018 with the boom, there's only 10% of them that still have positive returns, right? And it is true that 11 of them got more than 1,000% returns, right? But I think that it is time to change a little bit this type of panels from why we should buy tokens to maybe say, from why not to why we should buy tokens, right? So according to your experience, and focusing on utility tokens, why would anyone buy a utility token? And which type of we cannot say investors actually, right? And which type of buyers, owners, do you guys think that have classifying them in the different profiles you have seen?
Well, you want me to start? Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, so that's 2 different questions, right? Why we should buy tokens? Why you would buy a utility token? Obviously to use it, right? So if you don't want to buy a utility token that you're not going to be using, unless you're just speculating, which is kind of the next conversation on why people speculate. So to understand the financial upside on crypto, you have to understand how the technology gives that upside, right? So in traditional kind of organizations, pre-token, you have shareholder value. And now with tokens, we have stakeholder value, where you can actually own part of that internet or that protocol, which then means that if that protocol has, you know, returns, all of the people that own part of that protocol gets a kickback, so you earn money from that. And a token accrues value through it being used. So the more utility it has, number one, and the more it's used, so that the utility level as well. So similar to how equity accrues value through number of users, number of clients, and all those things, tokens accrue value through number of utility types and its level of use. And so investing isn't really the right word in buying a utility token, because you need to actually use it. So companies that have failed typically in this space typically are the ones that have failed to give its token real utility. And in essence, then, when you have no one holding that utility token, there's no market dynamics, and so the value that accrues isn't there. So it's a bit of a 1-2 punch.
Yes. So I think here if we treat them as an investment, I think we have to look at it as a picture in a different way that we've been doing just in the last recent years, where we do total supply, average price, valuation, right? We're just trying to compare apples with pears. They don't work in the same way. It's not an equity. They accrue value as with utility, but it goes beyond that. It goes actually, every single project, they have different tokenomics, and they have different ways of accruing value. There are some of them that all the accrue of value that the token can get comes from the token holders, and the others that the entire business model, not just from the token holders, also the users that maybe they don't have the token, they also make the token accrue value, right? So I think we have to take it, we can take the whole picture on how many were profitable, how many not, but we have to jump more into each of the cases to really do an analysis that makes sense or not, right? Because we definitely have seen that it's not about supply, it's not about, sometimes even it's not about utility, right? We still have Cardano in the top 10, right? So it's not about that. It's sometimes a lot about the marketing, how people react to it, and then obviously the utility around it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would like to add that I fully agree with both of you guys' comments, but I would like to add that venture capital, they do work based on what's the team capable to do, and what are their abilities, etc. So everyone's speaking, when talking about tokens, everyone speaks about extension, utility, broad base, and tokenomics, etc. But in the end, it has to be someone that manages and runs the company behind. This is something that usually speculators, they don't do. They don't do this job. They don't look at the companies, at the team that runs, and being certain that this job has been done, and therefore you can invest, and you will rely on something that it could be more trustable. And 1 out of 10. Which is a regular numbers on early stage at the beginning of venture capital history. So right now, numbers are much better because I think investors, they do the job. But it's a little bit of the same. It's how much of that is a speculation, how much money goes opportunistically to get invested in tokens or in equity at some point. And of course, dynamics of the token, they do work differently as equity do. But the underlying, in the end, is the same. Is team and capacity to do things.
Thank you very much. So just to summarize, we talk about, of course, the utility, we talk about marketing, we talk about the fundamentals. There's also, of course, in marketing, the way you market, in which exchanges you trade it. It affects a lot the value. But let's expand a little bit more on the owners, right? Who are the owners? So how this stakeholder cap table, right? It is constituted, right? And I know that there are the employees, right? There are also the investors, regular investors, and there's also people that fight for the utility, right? Which are the percentages of each of those stakeholders, and If I'm missing some of them, can you just expand on it? The one.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I don't know. Historically, on the last years, we've seen probably allocations between 20 and 19% for the team, around 45% to 50% of the allocation to community, which means community members that they going to buy it because of they are going to speculate or because they're going to use it. Then also probably around 5 to 6% of supply normally goes to public sales, and then the rest normally goes, well, another 5% to advisors, and then another, the rest basically goes to private sales normally with institutional investors. This is the scheme you normally see with projects that they do have centralized part and decentralized part, right? On the outside, you normally see it differently. You see a higher percentage of the allocation going directly to the token holders, which they are not just investors. We are token holders, investors, and team members, so you group all of them together. And yeah, so basically I would say that this is the allocation you normally see.
Yeah, and so just expanding a little bit more, and maybe this is a question for you, Ko, that the Bit2Me token has been on the market for the last 8 months, right?
Yeah.
Expanding more on the team, right? We allocate an important number of tokens to our teams. We, incentivize them economically to work hard, very hard, right? To launch a successful ICO, right? Then it is launched. The price goes up. They have a vesting period, right? During those vesting period, they cannot sell. Then the vesting period ends. They can sell, but are they going to sell it? So my question is, from your experience, Ko, which is the impact of giving tokens to team members?
I think it's like anything, it's another way of incentivizing, right? Tokens is another way of financially incentivizing your team or your partners or everybody that's a stakeholder in the company or even shareholders of the company. The impact's been, it could go either way if the team also understands what to do with token health, right? When you have a token in your company, you have a very different mindset on how you would design the tokenomics or the mechanics that Ernesto was talking about, especially with GameFi, and how the token works and how the in-game or in-product ecosystem works. So you have little things like buy pressure and sell pressure. Does this cost more of that or more of this? And these are important to know so that the team can then come up with ideas and work hard wherein they would encourage one than the other, right? You can't just, for example, do a campaign and airdrop 1 million people and then tomorrow everybody dumps on you, right? So incentivizing tokens is a great way to align incentives of the entire company, where you're hitting KPIs of the company where the equity accrues value, but you're also hitting KPIs where the token itself accrues value. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the challenge for a lot of Web3 companies that have both. Yeah. But if you do it correctly and do it well, it's growth on both sides, right? Because you have a reserve on equity and you have a reserve on tokens.
I would like to add, we were discussing that, and it's a bit complex, when you have people that they jump at the beginning of the company, they're the first employees, and then you give them tokens, and then your company grows and grows and grows, and then you have to give someone else tokens. Yeah. So how do you manage that? That's a complexity that it's difficult to cope with. And one of the ways to do that, and it's it's like blue sky. It could be doing something like proof of work, when they work on a Web 3.0, and you give tokens as they work, etc. Then it could be, eventually it will happen. But initially, how do you manage this? How do you balance those both actions, between the first employees and the rest that they jump? And particularly you're launching a company. How do you see that?
So after doing a very deep analysis on this, what we realized actually with the team was that when you're 10, you have to do the same work that when you are 50. But the people just work more hours, harder, and they do the most that they can, right? So every single individual in that company is bringing more value to the entire company than when you are 100. So at the beginning, people who's coming at the beginning, they should be more rewarded than the ones that they are coming later. Because when you are 100, you can you're not working as hard as when you're 10. You know,
The risk levels are different, right?
Yeah.
totally. That
It
part
is.
too, sure.
It is.
It is. And yeah, so I think that's a very good way to think about it, or what we've seen that it's what makes more sense for our employees too. And what we've seen is that the manners of making sure nobody dumps on you. It's about really signing contract, and it's just as simple as that. Hey, if you want to sell, which I understand because you need liquidity, you need to buy things, or you need to whatever stuff for you. Just first, we have the option to buy as a company.
Yeah.
And then if we don't want to do it, you just can't sell, right? But it's a good way to manage investors and team members.
Yeah, that's good input actually. Where you would do kind of peer-to-peer transactions with the people or your employees that have tokens. I think that's important and not a dump on the public market.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually very, very interesting, right? Because, and I just write down a word you said, it's token health, right? So we talk about a new cap table, we talk about a new phantom shares to incentivize employees, and it looks like that we have to create something else, which is a set of rules and a set of codes that determine how token is integrated in company culture and in company decisions, right? And just reviewing the impact on the team, I would like to maybe discuss a little bit the impact on go-to-market, right? What's the impact of having a token for the sales strategy of the company, for the marketing strategy of the company? And I'm thinking myself, being a marketer at Bit2Me, right? Or J4 or Run, right? And saying, I should probably do a marketing campaign to incentivize people to buy Cardano on our exchange. But why? If I am a Bit2Me token holder, right? So the marketing strategy, right, of a company should be focused on incentivizing that the customers hold Bit2Me token or the token of the companies. But on the other way around, this has a cannibalization on other products, right? And how is this ethos, culture, way of doing, how you impregnate the token culture, especially in the marketing and sales team?
Well,
Me?
yeah, you go.
Yeah, so
That question was
you're like, you're looking at them, but you're like,
That's easy for you.
So on the marketing side, for example, I'll give you one wherein it's a very clear example of aligning incentives, right?
Yeah.
So we did two campaigns separately. One was with OVR. This is one of the leaders in the augmented reality, where you put your phone like this, and then you can see an entire world. And what they did is we did a treasure hunt with them. All you're hunting B2M tokens around Spain and in Italy because they're based there. And after it's free. You do KYC there, and then you hunt tokens for free, right? You go around the beach and you get tokens. Once you have those tokens, you can own. They're actually just virtual coins that you have to claim in Bit2Me with the Bit2Me wallet.
Okay.
So then you're gonna have to register on Bit2Me, pass through our KYC, and then we'll give you the tokens that you're claiming. So that translated into 4,000 new users within a week.
Okay.
Right, so that's a good example of incentivizing both the token awareness and its utility. And so once they're in, they have tokens, and they're like, wow, I can actually get discounts on the wallet. I can get priority on the launchpad. So I'm not going to sell it. I'll just hold it. Or I can put it on Bit2Me Earn, where I can get rewards daily, right? But we've also hit the KPIs of the marketing team, where we've generated 4,000 new users. So that's one example. On the sales side, we did a campaign, for example, with Ton, just 2 weeks ago, or last week actually. We talked to them and said, look, you're going to list on Bit2Me today, this week. Why don't you dedicate allocation for an airdrop for our customers? So anybody who buys B2M for the next 5 days, kind of like a Starbucks, loyalty program, if you buy a minimum amount, on the 5th day, you're guaranteed an airdrop from Ton. Right, so that created more transactions within our wallet, more buy pressure for the token, so hitting 2 KPIs again, and Ton is happy. Our partners are happy that they have more, awareness of what Ton is and what type of utility they have, and people know about them. And so it's impregnating all these departments in sales and marketing and even partnerships just through a token.
Yeah. So I completely agree, right? It's something that you have to be managed, and the case of an exchange is different maybe from a DeFi, and maybe, Ernest, you could expand on J4L case, which is a play to earn, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we do not have this type of...
Well, we do as well, because we in the end, that's where the difference of security token and utility token remains. An utility token must be used, and must be used it must be incentivized, because otherwise, you do not then stimulate the buy effect and the capacity of this token to generate something meaningful. And well, considering that G4AL is a company that is a platform for gaming, is a play-to-earn platform. You can use your tokens, you will earn, you get rewarded, you can go in a ride with someone else just competing and getting rewards based on tokens. It's not gambling, but it's pure gaming. So you use your tokens to get rewarded as well. So you get paid and you get your reward back with this token. So that just stimulates an economy. So what it makes this difficult is that you have to deflationary this supply of tokens, because you can introduce a lot of tokens in the market and everyone is getting them, but you have to buy them back, those tokens, just to get some deflection, because otherwise, the price gets forced down because of the supply. It's too much allocation. So that's the difficulty of these platforms, that they use a lot, and the rounds that the supply does during a daytime is enormous. So you have to manage very well what is the demand and supply that you produce, not to inflationate or not to deflationate too much the token. So that's the difficulty. But in the end, I fully agree with you, Cole. If you have a token and you can incentivize your users, having Starbucks or whatever, is something that the people makes value. What I'm holding this, I can get a promotion. I'm the first in line to go for an ICO, for a sale or whatever. It is something that it's very useful.
Yeah, I think basically to add here, the users or token holders at the end is people who's believing you, they just don't want to use, they want to use your product, but apart from that, they really believe in you, right? So I think the part of coexisting your business model and your token, it's always that you're probably not going to be able to profit from both, right? You have users and you have token holders. And sometimes you have to basically give more and get less profit to your token holders, because your purpose is not to profit from that side, is to really grow the entire market cap of your token, right? So I don't really think that it's any business model that almost grows at the same time. You really have to think about one or another, and what makes sense for your business model. And I really think that you should not have any token if your business model is not needed and just basically doesn't add any value to your community or to your users. In case it is, yes, but always taking into account that you're not going to be able to profit from everything if you want to do the things right, obviously.
Well, Paul, you bring into the table actually a very interesting point. You said you are not going to profit from those users, right? You want them to use your platform, use your features, right? And this opens up maybe a new point we have to discuss about, right? Tokens. First, we talk about the team, then the go-to-market, and is the impact it has on finance, right? Because it say we are not going to benefit from them, right? So the company is getting finance from those token holders. So it's another way of raising money, right? We know that debt, we pay interest for debt. We know that investors, we have to pay them back, right? For those token holders that are providing them utility, is there a financial impact for the company, or is this taken into consideration at all, that those customers that are using things for free, or are getting discounts on the platform, this is a revenue you are not going to generate, right? So how is this balance on the real world, or how it is planned when you're considering a strategy for increasing utility?
Yeah, so for example, one strategy in terms of market acquisition, it's specifically in fintech, we've seen referral programs, big institutions giving $20, $15, $50 to all the users that they come, and we see a big proportion of people just download the app, cashing out the profit, and just not using the app at all anymore, right? With the token model, what we have now is that you can really bring people that you could give them the token, and then you can basically lock up the token for 12 months and say, hey, we're giving you basically a part of what we are. So it's not about just money, it's about a part of this project. And you have to give them a utility. And then you have 12 months. Imagine you lock up for 12 months, right? You have 12 months to convince that person that is inside your app, so already download the app, to convince that he or she should deposit more money and you use products. It really depends on how you want to use it, and obviously you then have to reward them a little bit more, because the user is really believing in you, not just for the products itself, it's in the entire growth and the vision you bring it.
Well, I think it's the market and the inefficiency, at some point, because you keep the prices, going up while you get them stacking. So you incentivize people to get these shares on hold, and then you can keep these prices going up, which is it goes for a different panel and a big study. But fundamentally, what it changed on this vision is how are the companies running their token supply in a way that they can keep the prices going up. So in fact you are incentivizing for free what is in the end an intrinsic value of your own token at a long time. That's what I see. It's a bit complex to understand, and I'm still figuring out what it's going to be, but it's very complex.
I think what you're trying to say also was not just the customer facing, but treasury management.
Right.
How do you manage your token treasury?
That's correct.
And so with a company like, I think a lot of native Web3 companies only have tokens and they're not profitable yet, so they do have to finance themselves through selling their tokens, right? We're fortunate in Bit2Me, where we've been profitable for all these years, that we're not financing ourselves through our treasury. We finance ourselves through the public sale of our ICO, but not after that. That was it, right? And it's something that we need to figure out very, very carefully, because if you sell too much of your treasury, that's a lot of tokens in public supply, in circulation supply. And you may, like Paul was saying, you might want to, and you were saying too, Ernest, you might want to buy those tokens back in the future, just because you won't have any left, because if you're financing yourself 100% through your tokens. So it goes back to basic business fundamentals. You better be first a profitable company. Yeah.
It is.
And not just depend on token financing.
I completely agree with you. It's very complex how to manage, the ups and downs of this market. But in the end, it has to be something that it will balance eventually. How the people manage the tokenomics and when what is the public price, because it doesn't make any sense just to go up and down that much.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think maybe last I'm sorry, we have to cut it. They told me that we have to be very strict. So many thanks. We only we covered the team impact, go-to-market impact, financial impact. We are only missing maybe the one that is more wild street known, which is the impact on product, right? Which of course you have a product roadmap when launching your token utility token. So thank you very much for this, and I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.